Hello, everyone. Steve Westman. Welcome to the Audiophile Roundtable, an audiophile reissue wish list and midweek record review. George Borden, midweek record review.
Hello, everybody.
How's
Thank you
everyone
for having
doing?
me. How is everyone doing? I'm
Hope
doing
everyone's
swell.
well. It's good. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you since last Wednesday, I think it was. So, I was
Yep.
excited. I was excited to do this show because I mean, there's always people that want to see different titles, some of their favorite records reissued, sort of the audiophile treatment through Mofi, through analog productions, through Impex, through Rhino Hi-Fi, you name it. So I mean, that's why we're doing this today. I've got a couple records I want to review. We can get into that. I'm sure you have your own take on things as well in terms of what what pressings you want to see audiophile, the audiophile treatment, George. Hopefully you brought some today.
Oh, I have
I know.
some. I mean, I don't think that they would need to be shown. I mean, because everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, I have some. I
Well,
do.
let's get right into this. This will be fun. This will be fun today as well. Um, got a couple things to show you. Now, my daughters are into music. I went to Noah Kahn. You can see the Noah Kahn record behind me there. A great concert, of course. Now, the latest. I got a new one for everyone. Do you recognize this guy here? It's not Post Malone, man. I'm telling you. It's not Post
It's not
Malone.
Post Malone. It's his brother.
It's not Post Malone, but sort of looks like it. This is who it is. This is his record here. You can see it. It's a little bit.
Mm, There we go. What is it called?
So this
But
is
there, I
Teddy
found.
Swims. I've tried everything but therapy. Part one. The
Um,
big song is Lose Control. It's track two. Okay.
no.
Now, big radio play, Lose Control. And so his name is Teddy Swims. But here's the thing: it's not his real name, George. And this is the thing about getting involved in today's music and as an older person understanding what's going on today. But the guy's name is Jayton Colin Dimsdale. So clearly you can't be a Jayton Colin Dimsdale if you want to become a famous singer or whatnot. His name is now Teddy Swims, American singer. He blends genres including R&B, soul, country, and pop into his songs. Like I said, the song "Lose Control," big top 10 hit, Billboard 100, huge, very large. Has that sort of that. I would like to say he's almost like a Amy Winehouse, but the male version. Sort of that's what the sound of this record sort of feels to me. It sort of sounds like you should be in like an old, dungy, smoky, basement bar with whiskey and whatnot, with this guy singing on stage. It has sort of that feel to it.
I see.
I quite enjoyed it. But again, getting back to his name, Teddy Swims. The
Mm.
swims is interesting. I wanted to show everyone this. This is what's new. We're learning here and getting sort of more involved with the younger people today. Check this out. So Teddy Swims. Swims is an acronym, George. Someone who isn't me sometimes. That's what SWIM stands for.
Oh,
So
he kind of looks like
referring
Bono in that middle one, that middle
referring to
picture.
a nickname from his childhood, referencing his size. So he's a little bit of a larger man, and an internet speak acronym, which I had no idea about before I learned about Teddy Swims, for someone who isn't me sometimes, and it refers to the idea of integrating different parts of his personality. Teddy Swims,
Mhm.
I Lose Control. Great song. It was written by a collaborative of about five different people. Really well done, really well produced and engineered. I really enjoyed that song. There you go, Teddy
All right.
Swims. Check it out. I'll Lose Control. So I wanted to show you a couple other things as well. I wanted to show you this. So this is big news. I talked to Chad today from Acoustic Sounds or Analog Productions. I want to let you know that.
Never
You're
heard
gonna.
of him.
Okay, so Chad Kassam, thank you for getting back to me. This is why I wanted to talk to him today. Do you remember I brought
Is
this on?
this?
I brought this on not long ago, didn't I?
Yeah.
It's a Stone Temple Pilots core,
Yeah.
45 RPM, mastered by who was it? Matt, I can't. Ryan, is it Ryan K. Smith? I think it was Ryan K. Smith.
Probably.
Sounds unbelievable. It rocked my house, rocked my world when I got it. Really enjoyed it. This is the
Hmm.
first Atlantic 75, 45 RPM cut through Acoustic Sounds Analog Productions that sold out. 100% sold out. You cannot no longer get it on their website. And so I asked Chad, so I texted Chad this morning. I said, Chad, are you going to be pressing any more of these? He goes, maybe in a while. We've got more to press, but also to let your viewers know that Genesis is close to basically being sold out as well. So grab that while you can. And of course, what he said was buy now or cry
Or
later.
cry
He
later.
said that in his text to me. So there you go. And he also commented, I don't know if you ever saw this video. It was me, Mazzy, and Sonic Flair, Danny K. We did a video when just before Atlantic 75 series came out, and Chad mentioned that video in my text. He goes, "I can't believe you guys thought this whole series wasn't going to be successful. It's absolutely done way better. I thought it was going to do good, but it's done even way better than I thought." So they're really excited over there in Kansas right now for the Atlantic 75 series. So not sure when it will be pressed, but now, if you wanted to get it, I went and did this. Have a look. So first of all, look at this here. Someone went and bought this record for $165 on Discogs. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, well, it's
come on,
typical. It's
come on. But
typical.
right now, if you want it, there's 5 for sale, $88. That's 88, yeah, 88 pounds plus shipping. And then the next one there is $95 plus shipping, and then 95.84. So there you go. You're gonna pay more for it. So I don't have a numbered copy. I think the first 2,000 were numbered, and after that they were not numbered. But I don't really don't care about this numbered thing, because the number thing makes no difference. These are Stoughton jackets, basically printed somewhere not in Kansas, so they don't have any order. They could print 2,000 records. That doesn't mean it goes 1 to 2,000 in order chronologically to what's on stamped on the back of these records. It makes no difference at all. It's irrelevant to me. So, anyways, if you don't own it, well, too late. You're going to be paying the upcharge now on this one until it's repressed. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. I knew that was going to be right out of the gate. I think on day one when that was announced, I think I said that's going to, that's the best one of the lot. I thought when I heard all of the ones that they were talking about,
It it
there's,
it rocked my world. It was an incredible experience. I loved it. So I wanted to look at this. So Acoustic Sounds does their best sellers. I want to see what's hot right now. Have a look. We'll go 13 through 1. So we know that all the Genesis that are right now are running low. So Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. That's number 10 on the list. Number 11 is the Impex. Oh, Impex. Guess who is coming on the show on Friday, George? Speaking of Impex.
who's going to come on the show on Friday?
Well, Impex is the gang from Impex will be on the
Oh,
show, and we'll talk about the Stan Getz and Gilberto. Is it Gilberto or Gelberto? I could never pronounce
well,
that correctly. I
depends
don't.
on who you talk to. I've always
I
said
I
Gilberto.
I never pronounce things correctly, anyways. We all know. But anyways, they'll be on the show to discuss this one step. Genesis selling England by the pound. The SACD is ranked number 12, 13. It looks like Ballads, the UHQR version. So there you go. There, that's 10 through 13. Look at this though, 9 through 7. We've got Steely Dan Asia still going. And then the War Greatest Hits, the 45 RPM cut by Ryan K. Smith. We've got the Atlantic 75 series, John Coltrane, My Favorite Things. I have the Kevin Gray version that was out last year. I think that sounds pretty good as well. Then 6 through 4. Look at this. Genesis again, selling England by the pound. $60 one, the 45 RPM. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, self-titled, still going. And then we've got the Clark Terry, Freddie Hubbard, Dizzy Gillespie, plus Oscar Peterson, the Alternate Blues, Analog Productions, $40, number 4 right now. Would you like to see the top 3, George?
I would definitely like to see the top 3.
So look at this. John Coltrane, Giant Steps. We got Steely Dan Asia, the SACD Steely Dan Asia, just so we don't get confused here. And number 1, but we've now learned it's in back order, so you could back order it. It will take you a while to get it, but that's the number 1 selling record on the Analog Productions or Acoustic Sounds website. Stone Temple Pilots Core, 45 RPM. There it is, the latest top selling from Acoustic Sounds.
I got
Buy now
FOMO'd
or
again.
cry later. Chad even told me today. So, yeah, I asked him. I said, "Yeah, so when's that going to be releasing?" It's, "Well, not for a while. We got a lot of other things to press. So if you didn't buy now, you're going to cry later." I'm like, "Well, I bought now, and I'm happy. I'm not crying. I'm not going to cry over records either. I can't cry over records."
No, I'm not going to either.
Lawrence says War Greatest Hits is fantastic. And you're talking about not the Kevin Gray all valve, but of course the Ryan K. Smith 45 RPM, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the Kevin Gray one is the one that everybody raves about, isn't it?
So good. So Do you want to get into our audiophile reissue wish list? I see a lot of people. Okay, so I know. Okay, you guys are gonna kill me on this one, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Wouldn't this be nice to wake up one day? You ready? I set this up. You guys ready? Just breathe through this, okay? Wouldn't it be nice to wake up one day and see this announcement? A Rhino Hi-Fi, Black Sabbath self-titled, cut by Kevin Gray from the Masters. Would anyone like to see this? Because I would. This would be an incredible announcement. Of course, this isn't the one. I don't know if it will happen, but this is definitely. Our Rex V Spinner says this. It's funny. Yes, it's been in my wish list for a long time. Rhino is well aware of it, and maybe it will happen. There it is. But that would look nice. I'd love to be able to open the Rhino Hi-Fi with a nice gatefold, thick cardboard on it, and drop the needle of the rain and the thunder going on the first track, which is called Black Sabbath. That would be my dream. So everyone's pretty shocked right now, George, that this is my number one on the dream list. But yeah, I feel it could happen. I really do.
Okay. I see your Black Sabbath, and I.
You're gonna raise me.
I'm gonna raise you because also I saw the Jim Record Collector News also pointed this out. I would love to see a really good Jane's Addiction box set. This is the only cover I could actually show without having to cover nipples. But well, these ones are okay, I think. But this especially their first 3 albums, I think deserve that sort of treatment. I think they're really good, and I think I would love to see a Jane's Addiction box set.
Well, that's the thing too. I think another thing would be really cool is to get some audiophile box sets happening instead of just the individual records. I think that would be a really nice change. And I was thinking this is what I was thinking too, and I'm glad that you brought this up. And what would you think? Would you guys be interested? I mean, what do I have here? So, I mean, we know that, Analog Productions did The Doors. You can get the box set for like $1 million now, all analog, 45 RPM, cut by Doug Sachs. These ones sound great as well. We know that ERC, I got my ERC here, did the self-titled last year as well. This is okay. This is the mono, of course, but I want to see the Doors in stereo. I mean, I've got my Mobile Fidelity in stereo as well. Have that one. And then I think Rhino, a few years ago, this is 2009, they recut, right? They recut it again for their series as well by Bernie Grundman. So I want to see a Doors box set cut by Kevin Gray, Rhino Hi-Fi. That's what I'd like to see. Stereo.
Yeah.
That's one of my wish lists. I think that would do really well. That would be amazing. I think there would be a lot of hype. People would be excited about that. And is there too many Doors albums, you think, or you think that's something that would actually sell well?
I think that there's a lot of people that would jump on it. I think I'm good with Doors records. I have some OGs, some Mofis, and some sort of middle of the era sort of 80s represses and stuff like that. And all of the ones I have sound fine to me. I don't find myself needing more. And honestly, I was actually happy with the Mofi one. I found it out in the city at the Amoeba, the big Amoeba out there, and it was I was very pleasantly surprised with the
Mofi. The Mofis, I mean, not a bad price. I think you can pick them up for a decent price now. I mean, I sort of know the sound of these, I guess, late 70s, early 80s MFSLs. So, I mean, I've had this for a while. I mean, I've never had an issue with it. I think it's not bad. I did do a shootout a year ago when this ERC pressing came out, and this is the mono cut from the Lido tape as well. And I had no idea what a Lido tape was prior to ERC coming out with this. So now I know.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Doors. I find them to be a significant band, but I never found them to be sort of an audiophile type band either. I think that The Doors have just anytime I can hear the Doors, I'm good with it. I listen to the music really with the Doors.
VQR saying Doors is the biggest act I can think of that doesn't need an audiophile repress. He thinks. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I think,
maybe so.
but here's the thing, and this is the thing that Chad, when I was talking to Chad this morning, he's like, well, you guys were negative on the Atlantic 75 series when you did your video, and I mean, look how successful it's been. So we don't know the minds of consumers. I think that's the record companies don't know minds of the consumers either. So if they put out a box set of the Doors in stereo, a hi-fi cut, all analog, I think it'll sell. I mean, if they do 5,000 or whatever, I think that will sell pretty quick. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to see a Soundgarden box set as well. I'd like to see them do the entire Soundgarden catalog and get it where it needs to be. There's good presses of all of them out there, but they're few and far between, and there's a lot of different versions, and some of them aren't that great.
Joe Cocker box set. That's interesting. I'm a big
Self-titled
fan of
Joe Cocker with a little
So
help
good.
from my friends,
Love
Mad
it.
Dogs. Yeah.
Little help from my
Sure.
friends. I have that Speaker's Corner cut, and I also have my original, and my Speaker's Corner cut just crushes it in every sonic detail.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I think it would be nice if we're doing audiophile reissues to just do box sets, because I'm getting tired of just having to buy the one and wait 6 months for maybe something the second album. If they do that, just throw it to me all at once and then blow your budget right away, and what's done is done. I mean, maybe that's what they need to start doing here. I don't know.
Well, I would assume also that when they do the box set, you put the box set out and you give somebody who needs a large amount of the catalog a price break for buying the box set, but then put the individuals out too at the normal standard prices so people can buy the ones that they want if you only need a few. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
I saw this
seems,
here. Yeah, I agree. Badfinger box set.
Yeah, for me, I think that I can whittle my Badfinger consumption down to about 3 records, and I'm good. I've got a bunch of Badfinger records that I will never listen to again. Some of the later ones. So,
Leland say, let's dig deeper, guys, and find stuff that hasn't been pressed to death already. Let's look at the '90s stuff again. Yes,
I just said Soundgarden.
Yeah,
Leland.
you said Soundgarden. I mean,
I also said Jane's Addiction.
Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, that's another one. I mean, they're getting there as well. That's for sure. But yeah,
I mean, I know Jane's Addiction's late '80s. Well, fine.
But someone mentioned too Alice in Chains. I mean, we talked about that before we got on. I mean, Alice in Chains, Seattle band. They came out with, it was a self-titled, but they called it, what did they call it? The Dog Album, or the Tripod or something, or the Three Dog. No, yeah. It's three-legged dogs. It's a dog with 3 legs on it too, right? So I mean, that album was big. It had the song Grind on it. Heaven Beside You and Again. It won a Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance. Sold 3 million records. So maybe that's the one. Alice in Chains. It even debuted at #1 back when it was released. And gosh, that was when was that released? November of 1995. So that would be
95 for Tripod. Yeah,
I think that would sell.
I think when it gets to the 90s, you're going to have the problem with when you get it to the 90s is that you're going to have a lot of digitally recorded records.
Let me fully stop you there.
A lot of people are gonna.
And that's the thing, George. Especially, I know talking to the Rhino people, they want all analog. They want analog tape, not digital sources, to basically make it an audiophile cut. So yeah, that's the problem we're faced with a lot of the '90s cuts. That's exactly right.
Right, and I would just like to say I don't have a problem with that, but I can just foresee what would happen with people complaining about it and all that kind of stuff. It's like, there's going to be some sort of digital step in a lot of those '90s records, one way or another.
Well, I mean, I think if they ever reissue a Donald Fagen Nightfly, if Rhino ever does that, we know that's digital tape, right? So I mean, there's a step in there that's digital.
Yeah, and you know what? It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
I'm really caring less about the digital versus analog thing. I think I'm just getting really tired of it. If it sounds effing good, just play the effing thing, and that's it. Done.
Yep. Well, it's true. Yes, Albini is analog, and a huge group of spectacularly recorded groups. Yes, that is absolutely true. There are a few people that clung and stuck by the analog thing. It just became easier in a lot of ways to use digital for a lot of situations.
So I've got
Yes.
one for everyone here. I'm a huge fan. I mentioned the last week. How about Eurythmics? A box set, audiophile Eurythmics. Every single, I mean, Touch is my favorite album. And I think it was, I can't remember one of our viewers, like, Steve, talk about more than just one of the songs. Well, there's Here Comes the Sun, Regrets, Right by Your Side, Cool, Blue, and Who's That Girl? Every single track is amazing. Dave Stewart produced, of course. Why not these? Why not the Rhythmics? I mean, this stuff is great. And these
I
are
think
all
that
my
would be
originals, George, and these originals just are killer sounding. I got more downstairs, but I mean, just killers. I just pulled a few. These are, I would buy all these reissued, you know, audiophile cut from the masters. Absolutely, why not? These would
yeah,
sell.
absolutely. There's been someone saying about what about good hip hop albums. I mean, Run DMC's been getting a lot of audiophile style releases, and it depends also. I mean, my hip hop tastes go back into the '80s mostly. Public Enemy and NWA and Run DMC and LL Cool J and the Beastie Boys and uh, Tribe Called Quest, and most of those things I've gotten pretty recently. So they are doing a lot of them, but not maybe audiophile.
Any Eurythmics original guys that you get are going to sound incredible. You're very happy with them. I think they're, like I said, they were just so well produced by Dave Stewart, well engineered as well. So there's probably not a really bad sounding Eurythmics album out there. Not the ones that I have, anyways.
No, it just comes down to your musical tastes, and if the '80s thing is not working for you. That's the thing about some of those '80s records when especially in the pop genre. Uh, the '80s production methods took over. Speaking of digital MIDI and synths and there was analog synths, but there was a lot of digital trickery going on in terms of sounds and creating space and stuff like that. Um, Again, mostly recorded to analog tape, but again, it's more of that sort of synthesizer sound. If that works for you, then there's a lot of good '80s records that could be
Was
done.
80s production brutal? Wicked Exile is saying 80s production is brutal? No?
I think that what it is that maybe it was a little too much everything in the production category with '80s music. Some of it's so overly produced that it's but then again, that's a style as well. And then there's a backlash, and then you have, more raw sounding things, and it just keeps going back and forth. It's cool. It's all good.
Dazzle ships, I 100% agree, and I had completely forgot about Chris Isaac. Some Chris Isaac audiophile releases would be great. I have his CDs, of course, and a phenomenal artist and some phenomenal songs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Angel Dust in there, yeah, Faith No More, that'd be a good contender too. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, though, too. Again, I think the issue with these record companies is it's all about their market. They got to look at their market and who's going to buy this stuff. I mean, they're investing a lot of money into this. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we know the demographic for a lot of these records, especially these titles, are the old people like ourselves, George.
Yeah. And I saw somebody in there was saying, Motown and Philly stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's another thing that doesn't seem to be happening right now. I mean, there's some Tomless stuff, Marvin Gaye stuff, Stevie
yeah.
Wonder stuff, but not like the
Now,
core
is there a
Motown
market for it
stuff.
though?
I think so. I would buy all of it if they came out with some really good versions of some of that stuff. And Stax Volt, they're doing and Watt, they're doing a lot of stuff, Otis Redding
Yeah.
stuff and Carla Thomas, and a lot of different Stax records are getting you know, the redo treatment, but you don't see that core Motown stuff. Smokey
No,
Robinson, of course,
yeah,
Temptations, yeah.
love Smokey. Monty Janes here, and thank you for joining us. I don't recognize the name. It must be a first time commenter, anyways. Maybe not first time viewer, but he or she's Monty's saying just got the latest Rhino Hi-Fi cars and dead from Warner Canada. Neither of them are numbered. Looks like they also took them off the website, so I can address that. I of course know the people at Rhino. They're working on fixing that. You can email me your order number, and I can forward it to my contacts there. That's why it's off the website. They're looking into the issues as to why they've been sent out unnumbered. Customers have been sent out unnumbered copies. So that will come back up eventually. They're not sold out. If anyone wants to know, both cuts still have many available. So jump on that. I saw Tony Braxton. I'm a Tony Braxton fan. I don't mind Tony.
I ended up with an unnumbered Lee Morgan Live at the Lighthouse box set.
So wouldn't unnumbered be worth more money than, guys? I mean, really, kind of cool.
Yeah, you know, when they did it, they were doing something like 10,000 of them or 5,000 or whatever it was, and then they finished the run, and obviously they had an overage. So then they said, here, these are unnumbered overage prints. I don't think that's the case here, but I'm just saying.
I think the Dio album for sure. Again, Jefferson, I did contact, I mean, you know, my contacts, Patrick Milligan at Rhino. I've mentioned the Dio albums. That's something on their list as well. No word if that's going to happen. Again, AC/DC is another one that I mentioned. No word about that one either. So, I mean, they're well aware. The executives at Rhino, or, you know, obviously Chad at Analog Productions or Mofi, they watch these shows. They watch these comments. I know that. So they're well aware of what we're looking for. It's not like they're not. I think, again, and we talked about this too, George, before we got on, licensing is an issue, right? Trying to get that organized is part of, is probably more than 50% of the battle.
If they were going to do Dio, it'd have to be really good, because there's been a couple of recent Dio redos, well, not the picture discs either, but remixes of the first album.
The Holy Driver remix I heard is not that good. I have the original. I think it's fantastic.
I don't
remix of it.
Yeah, I do not care for it whatsoever. It made it sound like, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Rhino did not press 10K of Candio. I can tell you they've pressed 5,000 of each, and that's it. But every company has overages. They have promos that don't have the numbered copies. Just if you guys remember way back when we did, when Analog Productions released the Bob Marley UHQRs, and so when Exodus came out, there was an issue because people had ordered on the website, but you know, somehow it didn't track their order and they didn't get it and said it was sold out. So Chad basically then went and sent out to those people the copies of Exodus that were not numbered. So I did ask him about that, because you know, we have a short supply of unnumbered stuff that we can give out for overages issues or for damaged issues. So that's the reason why they don't go and print a whack of these, just because, I mean, it costs, you know, a ton of money.
Yeah, and the thing to consider also is that if you're putting out like a strict number of copies and you're having them numbered, you also have to make, you know, be prepared for returns, you know.
Yeah. And that's what's, a few people are having to return some of their Rhino stuff. And I mean, it happens, but it happens with every record company, right? I mean, I've seen it with Mofi. Years ago, during the COVID thing, Mofi, there was a lot of people complaining about, I guess, scratch records or all this stuff that they were getting. And that
used to happen all the time.
But that's not but that's an RTI thing too. I mean, RTI has to work, deal with their quality control as well. I mean, it can't just be Mofi's problem. I mean, they're paying RTI a hell of a lot of money to press these records too.
I mean, anybody that worked in a record store in the 80s knows that, like, every day there was probably 100 records returned because of a skip or a warp or a crackle or a pop. And then okay, you can go get another one, Yeah.
So sometime a remix is better than the original. I have the remix of Tim's Replacement, that box set with 4 or 5 CDs plus the new remix LP. I think the remix is great. I mean, they took different instruments from different songs and then put remix them into some of those tracks. I mean, I think it's just a fantastic sounding album, and it sounds way better than the original. And you can compare it because they give you a CD version of the original, and also a CD version of the remastered of the original. Compare it to the remix. So it's a great box set. I don't know if it's sold out, but those are like $60-$70. Really good deal.
Mm.
Talking Heads or Roxy? Well, Roxy's been coming out. Abbey Road Miles Shoal did all the Roxys. I mean, they're out right now. They're not going to. I mean, if you want those, Half Speed mastered by Abbey Road and Miles Shoal, there you go. Get the Roxy music.
Yeah, and Disco Devil here was talking about sort of more world music stuff. If there's something to be purchasing right now in the used record stores, it's the world music stuff, because they've got a lot of stuff. I mean, at least there's a lot of big record stores around here that have just loads of world music and classical just all over the place, and they're all in really good condition because they took care of those people took care of their records. And I mean by those people, the people that listen to that type of music, because they cared about quality, and they it wasn't like old Slayer records that people were throwing around the room because they were so excited about it. But there's a lot of good world music and classical stuff still available in record stores.
I think again,
Not to say,
it's a mark. They got to look at the demographic, the market. I mean, they're these companies are here to sell records. That's the thing, right? They're here to sell records. When I talked to Chad this morning, I mean, he was pretty excited about the opportunity to do the Atlantic 75 cuts, but he did not expect the success of these records as would have sold so far. He did not expect Genesis to be almost sold out. He did not expect STP or Stone Temple Pilots Core to be sold out. So, yeah.
Yep. Dean, look at that. Dean's got the, look at that.
So Rush has been repressed. I mean, we just, they came out with the Moving Pictures box set that Abbey Road Studios cut not too long ago. Sean McGee cut that one. Well, and Sean McGee, as we all know, cut the Beatles box set, mono box set, the originals from the original.
Yeah, he's
Masters
referring to the
6 years ago.
later
Okay.
records, and they did do them. They did do them, but Rush did them sort of on their own from their, and I
Yeah.
think sold them through their own website, and they sold out, and now they're all worth $300, $400 a piece, $200 a piece, depending upon where you're looking. That's true. They did not do like a mass, like every record they've done so far, they've done a big sort of anniversary thing. I think they've done it for 2112 already. They did it for everything up through 2112. They didn't do the first three. I don't believe. I didn't see I don't think anybody's clamoring for a Caress of Steel, deluxe 5-album box set.
No.
But I think they just did the first album, right? There's a big box set.
I want to address this quickly because I mean, he's Tublandia is not a fan of the DMM Rush. You're talking about the direct metal mastering of Rush, those ones that were cut. Is that what he means?
I think that's some of the OGs are DMM. Really, I think
I don't mind the DMMs. I mean, the ones that I have, I think they sound pretty good. I mean, I go back, and I didn't know about this years ago when I bought my original Paul Simon Graceland on the front left-hand cover. It says DMM. I'm like, I didn't even know what that meant back then, but I just, I just listened to my Graceland just recently, and I thought it sounded fantastic. So
I would think that if you don't like the record, it's not because of DMM. I mean, potentially it's just because whatever the choices that were made on that record don't sound good to you, but I've never had a problem with DMM either.
The Music Sanctuary said, my Rush DMM cuts sound better than my Canadian OG pressings, in my opinion. I have the Rush Canadian pressings as well. They sound okay, Music Sanctuary. Nothing that they don't blow you away. I think some of the represses or the reissues that have been out the last couple of years sound better. I agree with that. George Harrison remix. I don't know. I mean, that was a disaster with the last George Harrison remix. I think they learned their lesson there. I've got one. I wanted to show you guys this. I did some more homework. I went through some of my old CD collection, George. So I was thinking maybe Mofi can do some reissues. Maybe not the CD version, but remember. I mean, I know Chad did it with, but look at Counting Crows. Why can't they redo this? Mofi, like a UHQR through Analog Productions or maybe a One Step. I would buy that. Counting Crows, August and everything after. I mean, Round Here, Omaha, Mr. Jones, the list goes on. What a great
big
album.
hits.
I listened to this CD last night. Sounds great. And then George, I don't know, they got to do this. Look at this, Queen, A Night at the Opera. This is my Mofi CD, guys. And look at this. It still works really well. Look at that.
I was going to say that I thought that the entire Queen catalog could use a redo, but
Mofi maybe. That would be nice. And then here's the thing. I know you guys are going to say, okay, this is just boring, but I found this one. I've always liked the sound of this. This is Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. This is the Ultra Disc 2 Mofi edition.
Sounds fantastic.
I love it. It's great. So I did that. And I also have this one too. And I will tell you, this is my Super Disc, not the Nautilus Super Disc, but this is my Super Disc Yellow Brick Road Elton John. And this was Direct Discs Labs. And this was cut half speed. I believe it was half speed by Jack Hunt. Sounds fantastic. This to me is my go. This is probably your go-to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road Elton John LP.
Yeah, I had one of those Mofi gold disc Pink Floyd The Walls back in the day too. I remember loving that.
Oh yeah, That's
back in the
expensive
day.
now on Discogs. You're looking. These are. I haven't looked lately, but these are bloody expensive. These discs, and I got lots of them. Yeah.
So go figure.
And then I don't know. I was pulling this out. Buddy Holly. I know Analog Productions has cut Buddy Holly. Maybe we didn't talk about Buddy Holly. Would there be a market for more Buddy Holly audiophile reissues? I found my old Buddy Holly
Yeah,
CD. Look at that. I paid $5.99 whenever that was, and this was the SPARS code is AAD. So there you go.
yeah, I
This is
got the
Buddy Holly self. This is the self-titled. It's got Peggy Sue and Ready Teddy and Everyday and Little Baby and Rave On. Oh yeah.
Chad did that not too long
Yep.
ago, and I picked it up. It sounds fantastic.
Produced by Norman Petty, and Norman Petty was a big collaborator of Buddy Holly and wrote many of these songs on this record.
Yeah, I believe he's the guy that owned the studio, eh?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, those are some ideas I have. We'll see.
Well, Chad recently did that Buddy Holly record right there, and it sounded great. I have it. I don't think I couldn't imagine it sounding any better. But if they could do something like fill out his catalog with again, like you said, it's like a box set. It would be good for the people that want to build the catalog up, and then do the individuals for people that just need a couple.
Yeah. John Bandy's saying here, I saw this now. He's saying that the MFSL Eltons are basically straight transfers and well done. I think this is a great sounding CD, actually.
I loved it. That was my favorite version of that up to the point when I got that. I think it was sometime in the late 80s. I think I got that. Same with The Wall.
Love The Wall. Tracy Chapman reissue, obviously self-titled, Crossroads. Everyone knows. I mean, I've talked about it on our show a million times. I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up. It's sort of, yeah, absolutely. It's on my list. But again, this isn't up to us. We're the customers, but they got to go out there and get the license. And that's the tough part.
Primus would be great. Yeah, a lot of the Primus catalog's pretty strong too. It'd be nice to see that. But I think Primus is a lot of self-done stuff. I think Seize It Cheese is their sort of big studio record, but they went right back to making records on ADAT.
Doodah Dave's, I got to address this. How could Harrison be a disaster? Wow.
A lot of people. Okay, here's my memory of the whole thing. When that came out, first of all, it wasn't cheap. Because it was a triple record to start with, and you're paying for 3 records, and one of them almost doesn't count as a record. So
it's unlistenable almost.
It's a jam that nobody ever plays that record. But so now you have that. But then what it was is there was this version of it, and it kept like all the way up to this giant wooden box that cost $1,000. And then in between there's a 6-disc version. It's like I'm sitting there going, if you have the original 3-disc version and one of the discs is almost deadwood, why would you have a 5-disc version and a 6-disc, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then what a lot of people found was that, okay, obviously the thing was de-Spectre it, because for some reason people have second guessed Phil Spector's heavy-handed production, but it was exactly why they called him in the first place, was because of his production. And then, so, for me, when I listen to those songs, they're in of their time. And again, I know George is always doing that. But that's that's the record to me. And so when you take it off, and I listened to a couple of these songs remixed, and it was like bone dry voice and bone dry acoustic guitar. And it sounded like a different song almost to me in a lot of those circumstances. And okay, maybe that's cool too. But again, this is the new version, and it's the cover, and this is the new version of it, blah, blah, blah. To be honest with you, I bought the George Harrison box set, and I believe those are digitally sourced for the box set.
They are,
and there's a version of
My Sweet Lord.
Well, no, the name of the record is what's it called? All Things Must Pass. I have 2 OG All Things Must Pass, and then I got this digital one. I put it on it. I thought that it sounded fantastic. Again, I know I'm using the word fantastic too much, but it sounded great, and I didn't have a problem with it. It was the original mix, and it was nice and clean, and it sounded good, and I didn't have a problem with it at all being a digital source of the record. I think that the catastrophe was in the way that I think people, everybody was clamoring for it, and then they got it, and they kind of went, ugh. Now that
It was a letdown.
I'm hearing it, I didn't
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, it didn't work.
I mean, I've got the original, of course. I've got the 30th anniversary, All Things Must Pass, and the is it the 50th anniversary? And I mean, definitely Phil Spector's Wall of Sound. It needs to be in those on those tracks. I think that's the big thing. And if you actually read the liner notes of the 30th anniversary, because George Harrison I think he just passed away after that was released or just before. He even in those liner notes, he specially thanks Phil Spector
Yeah.
in this updated 30th anniversary. So this Phil Spector, love him, hate him, whatever,
Yeah.
plays a big part in that record or on that album. So that I think that's the big thing as well. When you hear it remixed on the 50th anniversary, it's like wow, it's not what we expected, especially growing up listening to the originals back in the 70s. That's for sure. But yeah,
Yeah. Harrison in his lifetime started a remix of that album and then kind of realized it's all burnt in. A lot of the Spectre stuff is
that's
burnt into
right.
his production stylings.
That's right.
It's not like he's just adding digital reverb at the desk during mixdown.
No.
He's literally putting all that stuff into the tape. And it's part of the process really for him.
So
Yeah.
I've got more ideas for you here. I mean,
Okay.
again, okay, so I see this all the time on the different the MoFi groups on Facebook. People have the Billy Joel's greatest hits. This is my original, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Let's see this repressed audio file. I would like to see because these are expensive. Even the originals go for a shitload of money. Again, this is my original Canadian. It sounds great. I have no issues with it as well. I like to see this one get some treatment. Agree or disagree?
Um, I have the double 45 of Nylon Curtain.
Yep.
I have like some sort of Japanese digitally sourced super disc of 50 no Stranger. I have, I think, a MoFi of 52nd Street, maybe, or something like that. Some audiophile, different types of audiophile. I'm all about it. I love Billy Joel
Oh
records.
yeah.
I think he makes great records. I think he's a great songwriter. He's an American treasure. And I would anything that then anybody wants to do to enhance Billy Joel's catalog
What
and bring it out to people would be great with me.
what did I think it was a Nylon Curtain? What's the song that Billy Joel does? He's basically his voice was very he did it on purpose, and I know Ramon, the producer, was like, "You sound too much like John Lennon." Which song was that?
On Nylon Curtain,
I think it was on Nylon Curtain. Yeah, it was a
I
very
think it's
much
the
a
song. The song Laura is a straight, almost John Lennon pastiche.
like he really had the same voice as John Lennon. I know Ramon, the producer, is like, "This is too much like Lennon," but that's the way Billy Joel wanted it to sound.
Yes, it was such it almost it almost sounds like a John Lennon song, and it sounds like
Yeah,
he's trying
yeah,
to like do a cover of it in a
yeah.
in a bar or something. It almost sounds like Billy Joel doing a Lennon cover. Uh, it's a really good song. It's really good.
Or actually, I think is it not Scandinavian Skies?
Scandinavian Skies is more of like a that's there you go. There's another Beatle pastiche that has a lot
It
of
is
it's
not.
more of the I'm the Walrus vibe, yeah.
Commentators have noted its Beatles-esque elements and obscure lyrics. Joel has stated that the song was inspired by his experience with heroin. Wow, Scandinavian Skies. Yeah, Nylon Curtain. That's a I have like I said I have the MoFi 45. I think it's just a fantastic album.
Yes, it is. And if you want to see the live from Long Island concert, I've probably mentioned this before, the Billy Joel live in Long Island concert, which is it's on the tour that was supporting Nylon Curtain. It's really, really great set of songs. It's just, it's just one after another, after another, after another, incredible amount of songwriting chops with that guy.
I mean, any artist though, right? I mean, any artist that is able to come out with a double greatest hits volume 1 and 2, sell millions of copies of it, and then has a volume 3 that sells another millions of copies. I mean, there's not, like you said, treasure, there's not many solo artists that can pull that off today. There's Billy Joel. He looks like my father-in-law when my father-in-law was young. That's funny, but there it is. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
Mobile Fidelity did this years ago, and it's too expensive now to buy in the Discogs. I mean, I think just
yeah.
get a good original copy. Even the original copies are going for a lot of money. But these are ones you could probably find in the bargain bins, or if you really search around, I think they're still out there, and they sound great.
I think that also, you know, the thing that's the shame about that record is that on every one of those albums where all those hit songs came from, the rest of the album is just as good as the hit songs
I
in a
know.
lot of situations. You know what I mean? Like
I
that's
know.
it's almost like with Billy Joel, you got him. And I think he just did a box set of a certain section of like maybe Cold Spring Harbor up until Nylon Curtain or something like that, or the bridge or something. I think he did 2
Yeah.
box sets actually recently.
Har-
Um,
Harrison's Dark. I'd say Cloud Nine. I mean, that was a big one. Jeff Lynne produced that. They should do this. They should do, you know, because it was Tom Petty's. Well, oh, George almost fell, and good thing George is wearing pants. I wouldn't want to. I don't think the viewers need to see that. But what do you got there?
okay, I'm sorry, but what's wrong with this? Sorry, I almost tripped and killed myself.
Ooh, who are you
What's
commenting about to or about?
Well, people are talking about George Harrison, like we need George Harrison represses, but
Well,
this is
Doodah Dave is saying Dark Horse or Cloud Nine. I think Cloud Nine would be fun.
well, they're all in here.
Yeah. Who mastered those ones? What's the story behind that box?
I believe it's Scholl
There you
Miles.
go. There you go.
I don't know. I don't look at who mastered the thing. I just listen to it and see what it sounds like. This came out better than the Queen box set.
Yeah.
And I don't have I've got all, this has got everything. This is, you know, they're all on there.
Yeah.
From Wonderwall all the way up to Live in Japan, including Brainwash. This is his entire output in one box.
That's crazy
And it's
though.
got that cool lenticular.
Cloud Nine was his last album until what, 1997 or something. I mean, that's crazy delay in
Yes.
albums.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget though that he did do the Wilburys too in there, right?
Well, I was mentioning, I mean, you got the Wilburys in 88 and 90. There are 2 records there. I've got one behind me, you can see. But maybe, you know, you could do Cloud Nine again with the Traveling Wilburys, volumes 1 and 2. You've got Roy Orbison's Mystery Girl record, which I think is an underrated, incredible album, co-produced by Jeff Lynne. And a lot of the tracks were written by all the Wilburys, including Tom Petty. And I think Mike Campbell's even on there as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of heartbreakerish stuff on that Roy Orbison cut as well. I think it even won like a Grammy as well. It was one of his best-selling records, and he, you know, passed away before he could enjoy the fruits of his labor on that one. So, Mystery Girl by Roy Orbison, amazing. Jeff Lynne produced that. I'm gonna pull that one out. I have an original Canadian version. I'm gonna pull that out today and listen to Mystery Girl. ELO box set thoughts. They are touring now. Why not?
They're doing their farewell tour too right now.
So
So
maybe.
I think they probably would take a look at how the tour is doing and what the demand is. I think they're doing well. I don't know. I haven't heard of them coming to town or what kind of places they're playing or what.
Yeah, we get a lot of this. Monty Jane saying Buckingham Nicks. Maybe I've talked to Patrick Milligan at Rhino. He's been on the show a bunch of times. Of course, I've asked him this. He's one of the biggest Fleetwood Mac fans. He says if he can get it, he'll get it. I mean, it's pretty much, yeah. They're obviously, that's something they're working on, but it's again negotiation, licensing, and they know, you know, this is the thing. You know, we're coming out and saying we want these records. You know, the record companies are already probably talking to the, you know, the artists about them. It's not like this is all, you know, surprises to anyone, right? In the record industry. So someone got tickets for ELO. There you go, Ron Burns. Congrats. That'll be fun.
Yeah, like a report back. Tell us how
Scott
that goes.
McKenzie, Ron Burns. I want to hear about the ELO experience. We're old now, guys. Wear earplugs, okay? I had to for the Noah Kahn concert. Otherwise, I would have been deaf still today. The Dead could fill greatest hits. Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying solo artists.
They have a greatest hits.
But I did say solo artist. 3, you know, he did 2 whole, 3 volumes of greatest hits. Billy Joel, that was impressive, really impressive.
Yeah, and that's also let's not forget that even a band like Queen that had a lot of hits, when they put out their greatest hits, they also put some filler in there as well to pad it out and create some new songs and stuff to go with it. And you know, so if you're talking about like greatest hits like Billy Joel, where it's like every song on there is like a top 10 hit, you know, sometimes greatest hits have 5 top 10 hits and then stuff that they think people like.
funny story there when Tom Petty, when they were, I think he still had some sort of deal left, so he had to basically issue one of those greatest hits records, which he did. And
Yep.
so his contract still stated that he needed 2 extra songs. So on the
Hmm.
greatest hits, and this one was cut, but the greatest hits that just came out, I guess it would have been mid '90s now. It has been
Hmm.
reissued, and I know that Chris Bellman recut it. I have that copy. Mary Jane's Last Dance, I believe, was a song
Hmm.
he just wrote, and that became one of the tracks for the greatest hits albums, which is amazing to me that you just have this song which had huge airplay in its day. He actually wrote that song for the greatest hits album, which I think I get a kick out of. It's funny.
It was also the last thing that Stan Lynch did with the Heartbreakers, and I believe the video was the last time that they,
Well, Rick Rubin would have produced that song if I'm not mistaken, didn't he?
right, yeah, but I mean Stan Lynch, the drummer.
The drummer, right? Yeah.
So he was not playing on Petty. Petty was in the middle of doing Wildflowers at that time,
Didn't they can
and
him?
well, he just left.
Okay.
And it wasn't like they were trying to argue about it. It just they weren't getting along.
Yeah.
And so they had got Steve Ferroni in there cutting Wildflowers and then got back together with Stan Lynch to do the Heartbreakers song.
Steve
Kind of had to.
Ferroni's Steve Ferroni is a great drummer.
There's a story about how they were ensconced in Sound City, which is where Buckingham Nicks was recorded. And but yet they didn't want to infiltrate those sessions with the Heartbreakers vibe. And Petty wasn't really that into it. So they went someplace else, booked a different studio, and just changed location, and then did Mary Jane's Last Dance. And then
So
some
VQR has a
interesting story.
request. I can make this request happen, everyone. If you want this to happen, this is not a problem. Jamie Howarth of Plangent Process and it's George Gordon. Be on your stream together, George Borden. So you want to see
Thank you.
George Borden and Jamie Howarth be on a stream together? I can make that happen. I can moderate that stream. Would that be cool, George? Plangent
Sure.
Process is Jamie Howarth. Okay.
I'll get on screen with anybody that wants to get on screen. You know me. I
Jamie,
just show up
Jamie's
everywhere.
been on the show a lot. So he's lots of fun to talk. He's lots of fun to talk to. That's for sure. And I know he's doing more of the Grateful Dead stuff that's coming out. So he's been busy with that stuff as well. Earth, Wind,
I'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
Earth, Wind and Fire's biggest hit September was recorded for the greatest hits release. There you go. Thank you, Christopher. But again, I was trying to say you don't see that very often. A lot of artists just record songs that land on the greatest hits. I mean, a lot of it's contract issues. And I know with
Yeah.
Tom Petty, that was a contract issue to get out of his record deal. He had to record 2 extra songs, and those are the 2 last tracks on that greatest hits.
I think that was a record company reaction. I think what happened was greatest hits records sort of started kind of falling off a little bit.
Okay.
And so they were having artists kind of add a couple of new songs to add value to the greatest hits, right? So it wouldn't just be a rehash of all the same old stuff, right?
Yeah.
That would be, I
Let's
think,
get a vote going. George Borden and Jamie Howarth, Meeting of the Minds show. I'll just title it that, Meeting of the Minds. That'd be fun.
yeah,
Mr.
eradicate that
Fremer
wild
and
flutter.
Jamie would be good too. There you go. I think it would all be fun. I'd like to have everyone on. My dream is, and I think I'm going to still put this together. My dream would just be have like Kevin Gray on and Chris Bellman on, and just introduce them and just get me off screen and just let them go, and we'll just put up comments and let them just tell stories. I think that would be a fun hour of fun stream, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, me and Fremer on the same screen would be too much gray hair, so it would be
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, John Coltrane. They're coming out. I'm waiting for my copies. I thought I would have them. I think I might have just got them delivered. So my next show will talk about those. They're all jazz. There's 3 jazz titles. Yeah.
3 jazz titles.
Yeah. Last Dance with Mary Jane. Love
that's it. Great song.
Christopher says Jamie was great last time he was on the show. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Plangent rocks. We're big fans of Jamie Howarth. I know he's a fan of the show. He does watch the program. So hello, Jamie. I know you're watching. So yeah, we'll get him on again. It'd be fun. Jamie's a great guest to have. You just have to sit there. He has so many stories. It's amazing. You don't even have to prepare for Jamie. Just goes. Love it. Tell Chad to use Plangent for his essay CDs. That's so funny because Jamie would love for that to happen. But yeah. Wildflower, that documentary, I think it's either on Amazon Prime here in Canada, is great. The Wildflower documentary. What a great, I mean, Rick Rubin was a big part of that. What a great documentary. I mean, that's probably Petty's greatest greatest record, I'd say, in terms of creativity and where he was at the time. Would you agree with that? That's just incredible,
It's a lot of people's
incredible
favorite, but
production.
my favorite Petty is Last DJ. I think that's my favorite.
The
That was
Vinyl
special.
Outsider, plangent is a monstrosity, saying here. A monstrosity.
A
Well, I don't know.
monstrosity, a monstrosity even.
It's a monstrosity even. There you go.
Mm.
Well, Johnny Cash, they did. Mofi's doing some Johnny Cash. Folsom Prison's coming out. Super vinyl, I think. Um, I don't know. They're doing some. Mofi's doing some
The
Johnny.
later Cash stuff has been put out too, right? The Rick Rubin stuff, right?
That's true. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's readily available.
Yeah, it's no trouble finding some Johnny Cash.
Wellflower, well recorded, well produced, well engineered.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You know, here's a good thing to do is that, you know, the Dave Grohl did that movie about Sound City, just,
It's
you
on
know, about
Netflix or
the
something, right?
studio. Yeah, about the
Yeah.
studio itself and the board that they used there, which is the reason why everybody went there for the most part. But there's a little collage where they just start flashing album covers and showing sound bites of all of these records right in a row that were recorded there. And it's just crazy, you know, from what, like after the gold rush or harvest or something like that. And it just starts going boom, 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 boom. And they're just showing all these records that were done there. It's just, you know, it's one of those lucky little places that lines up perfectly, and it wasn't meant to sound good, but it just did, and it was
Yeah.
just pure luck. It's awesome.
So Mofi's Folsom Prison won't be on super vinyl, according to Dean Baker. So just a regular 180 gram vinyl. There you go. Thank you. So how about, okay, so we don't, I know, I think we should get Patrick Peavythal for this, but how about more like hard metal rock? Like I was thinking too, I've got this here, George. How about some Judas Priest? This is Hero Hero.
Yeah, which I believe is actually a different record by a different name. But yes, the
You know what I mean?
Judas Priest, the Judas Priest has been releasing things, and Judas Priest has just put out an album that I think a lot of people are saying is a great vibe. Iron Maiden's been releasing records,
Yeah,
obviously. All the big thrash bands, Metallica, Anthrax, and
yeah.
Megadeth, and you know, all of those bands are doing it. Merciful Fate's even doing it. I think people Opeth, a lot of people, you know, Opeth has been doing, like, you know, for a heavy band, they're really getting into some pretty high quality stuff. Their
Yeah.
releases are always really well done. And then some of the newer heavy type bands with that kind of imagery like Ghost and stuff. Sleep has
Hmm.
been doing they're a heavy band. Um, Slayer, you know, I think I said that already, but yeah, I mean, I think it's the lighter fare metal stuff that got kicked to the curb when Nirvana came around. Those
Oh yeah,
bands are having trouble getting their records back out. Like somebody said, Winger and
yeah.
uh, you know, those types of bands. Those guys. I don't know if maybe there's catalog issues or record label concerns or things like that. But a lot of those records are sort of missing from the redo phase. Deftones right there. Yeah, Deftones, another good one.
I will say AI underscore surfer original Billy Joel the Stranger is incredible sounding. Yes, it was mastered by Robert Ludwig. It's an incredible sounding album. If you can pick up a really good copy of The Stranger, you will be very pleased with that.
Yeah, and note for note, song for song, cover to cover,
Oh,
from the
amazing.
minute you set the needle down until the record finishes, it's a all-time classic record all the way through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dean Baker says, since Rhino announced the March and April high fidelity titles early on your show, any word when they will announce May or June titles? Well, there's word. They'll happen. There's some big announcements happening soon. I think people will be really excited to hear what the May rock titles will be. At least one of them, anyways. So stay tuned for that. They might do that announcement on my show. We'll see.
Creedence. I thought they did a Creedence box or something recently. There's some kind of highfalutin. Didn't
I
they didn't
Cosmo Factory, I was telling people you could still pick up, brand new on Amazon of Cosmo Factory that was cut by Kevin Gray and mastered by Steve Hoffman from their analog tapes. Sounds great. That's my favorite album, by the way. Cosmo Factory is almost like a greatest hits album.
Yeah.
From Creed
You know what?
CCR.
They had a pretty darn good year. It's like you could just look at like the year 1969 for Creedence Clearwater, and there's like 3 albums in there that are all like, crazy good. It was a good year.
Yeah. Music Sanctuary. Nice smile, Steve. He knows. You're too funny. I might know. We'll see. You won't be disappointed. You'll be happy.
Getting the Grateful Dead Rhino Candy is all right. Not quite as special as the Cars album.
Again, I want to address that. So Vinyl Outsider. So I guess I'll be getting the Grateful Dead Rhino. Candy-O is all right, not quite as special as the Cars. Here's the thing. Candy-O, I mean, when you come out with 8, 9 tracks that are all radio play and all charting on the billboards, yeah, you go to Candy-O and maybe the first track you guys know,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then the rest of that is like was never really played on the radio. You had to become a Cars fan to really get into Candy-O because it's not as known those tracks, but it is a great. Again, it's equivalent if not better sounding than the Rhino Hi-Fi self-title that came out. So I mean, if you want a good compliment, you want to complement your collection with another great sounding Cars album, buy the Candy-O. And the Grateful Dead again sounds great.
I think the Cars it's a band where the whole catalog is the point. At least up through say Shake It Up or Heartbeat City or whatever, up through that 80s period. All those records in a row, they kind of tell something. It's almost like Devo. You can't, you can pick a certain Devo record, but really you look at the whole Devo catalog and it makes a point, as an entire catalog.
Yeah. Bat Out of Hell, Meatloaf. I mean, if you want the best sounding Bat Out of Hell Meatloaf, there's an SACD version that was mastered by Brian K. Smith. And on the back and I own it, the back of the CD says it was actually mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio, but it wasn't the case. It was Ryan K. Smith. And that is the best sounding Bat Out of Hell copy anywhere, the SACD version. And it was Analog Spark was the name of the company that produced that SACD. If you guys are looking it up on Discogs, that's the one to own. You can't get a better sounding Bat Out of
Hell. George Borden is working diligently every night while you all sleep on his new offering, and it will come when it's done, when it's ready.
I want to have an exclusive release party on the show. That'd be fun.
Sure.
I'm going to invite myself to that. That'd be fun. Was going to see. Yeah. So here again, Candy was a great sophomore release. There are many fans that prefer Cars fans that prefer Candy over the debut album. Again, it just depends on when you started getting into the Cars. I mean, when you have a self-titled, the way the Cars had. I mean, it's hard to come up with a sophomore record that's going to be sound better than that with the hits they had on there for sure. What's John Bandy saying? Very mixed reviews on the Rhino Hi-Fi Candy-O as far as sound. I figure a person should know if they like an album before dropping $40. I mean, at least it's $40, not $125 or $150. That's the argument I have.
Yeah, are we kind of now at the place where it's like the 30 to 40 range is now just sort of new record price? Is that where we're at right now? I mean,
the sweet spot, audiophile sweet spot, George. I mean, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, and I guess it's not just a standard release. I guess if the Cars just put it out themselves or the label did and just put it on in the bin, it would be $25-$30 or something like that. I guess I haven't gone to new record shopping for a couple months now.
You're on a budget.
Well, yeah, it's called unemployed for a year and a half, but not just that. I can go buy a record if I want. I just haven't needed anything. I haven't been prompted to go, and I'm gonna go with. Speaking of Patrick and Mazzy, and
oh my god, is that this weekend?
Yeah, it's Sunday. Yeah, we're gonna go to this record show out in the city, and to be honest with you, there's not really anything I'm looking for. I'm just going to go hang out and look around and see if anything sparks because you can get yourself into trouble real quick when you roll up on a table that's all Japanese records. They're just so pretty.
So you could 83. How about another audiophile? Duran, Seven the Ragged Tiger. I know Mobile Fidelity did this one back in its day. This could be another audiophile cut, possibly 1983. Anyone into this? This is my original. This is my Canadian. This is Canadian. No, no
Yeah.
takers. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
I think Rio is their record though, isn't it? Isn't Rio
Yeah,
isn't
but
that the
that's the
one?
one that got the audiophile treatment through Mofi years back, right? So I don't know why Rio.
Yeah.
And then, are you into like any of the '80s stuff? I mean, I grew up. This is '82. This is Simple Minds. This is Life in a Day. And the song "Don't You Forget About Me" was on the Breakfast Club. They didn't want to include that track on this album because they didn't want to be, I guess, they have that stereotype of having that sound. So they basically released that song as a single so they could, not basically ignore that song when they had these other tracks. But another good album. Here's what they look like. Simple Minds. Don't You Forget About Me was their big one. And
Yeah.
if you want that sound and that sort of that hook, you're not going to get it from an album like this. I will promise you that it does not sound anywhere like that song off the Breakfast Club. Just tell it. But Simple
Yeah.
Minds, some '80s stuff. Throwing '80s at you. I'm throwing more '80s at you. Are you an NXS fan? I know they're coming out with Kick Atlantic 75. I mean, that's going to happen. But I'm a huge NXS fan. This was their. I think this is an 80. This is '84. So this came out before Kick. This is the swing. And if you guys remember, the song "Original Sin" was the big hit that they had. And then of course in '86 they had a song on the Pretty in Pink soundtrack as well, which is I can't remember now. Brain is dead, but again, In Excess. I'd like to see some more In Excess albums get some audiophile treatment. I'm throwing it back to my teenage years. I needed to do that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a copy of Shabu Shaba, and there's a nice guy from Australia that's been showing up on my live streams, and he's looking for one for me.
Ooh, hard. They're not on Discogs at all. They're just too pricey.
Well, the thing that was weird is that there was an NXS Greatest Hits package. It was like a double record that came out recently, and I picked it up at the store because I was happy to just have like a couple of their early songs. They're not on there.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing was it was the song that kind of broke them in America, and in 80, 82, 83, they even played at the US Festival. And for some reason, those early ones, those early records I think they redid it recently, but I never saw it anywhere. But it was strange to me that they didn't include what was clearly their first big major hit in America. They didn't include it on the greatest hits package or any from that record or any of those early records before the swing.
And the song on the Pretty in Pink soundtrack, it's called "Do What You Do," I think, is a song that they sang on Pretty in Pink. And Pretty in Pink soundtrack was great. It was one that was cut by Bernie Grundman. I mean, it had New Order on there. Remember Shell Shock, the song? It had Echo and the Bunnymen on there. It had the Smiths on there. I mean, I do have a few copies of that record. I think it's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. If I was to pick a soundtrack, and maybe we could do a soundtrack show. To me, that's my number one favorite best record for soundtracks is the Pretty in Pink. Love it.
Yeah, there are some classic soundtrack records that I think you need to have them to cover certain parts of certain people's catalogs in some situations. I have quite a few.
I don't have the. I have a lot. I have a lot of different copies of NXX Kick. It was produced by Bob Clearmountain. I've got the original. I've got the Miles Scholl 45 RPM, which sounds I think really good. So I'm going to be comparing that to the Atlantic 75 45 RPM. So I can't imagine the 33 sounds that great, but yeah. But I mean, In Excess is a I bought that record when it came out. Of course, I have the CD. I had the cassette. I think I still have the cassette somewhere. Of course, I have the CD somewhere as well. But I know that band, so I'm excited to hear what that sounds like. I have that one too. I have the Mofi version of Shake It Up. So you're holding up the car, Shake It Up. I've got the
Yeah.
Mofi version, and I don't listen to it. To be
No,
honest with you,
I have a
I never
few
listened to it.
Mofis. I have a few
Yeah.
Mofis, but this is actually just the standard one that you buy in the
Oh
record
yeah.
store, like 25 bucks or whatever
Oh my
on
God,
green vinyl.
George, it's on green vinyl if you're just listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Green vinyl.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty glowing green
it
vinyl,
is.
and
It's like
it's
it's a fluorescent green.
yeah. And then there's also this This is my copy of the Cars' first album, which is the Nautilus one.
Yeah. Is that Jack Hunt again? Probably is the half-speed cut, that one from the Masters.
I don't know. I don't.
You don't care about that. I know you don't care about that. So you're like, why do you even bring that up? But yeah,
it's half speed. It says that. So
it's half speed. Yeah. Elvis Costello. There's lots. I mean, Mofi does a lot of Elvis. Has done a lot of Elvis Costello. So
I do see Jack E. Hunt at the JVC Cutting Center.
There he is. Jack Hunt, by the way, if you want probably one of the best sounding Sgt. Peppers, he cut the Nimbus Sgt. Pepper at half speed, which goes for $3,000. And Jack,
all my favorite records are done by his brother Mike.
You've watched Porky's too many times, that's for sure.
I know.
Someone is mentioning Elvis Costello, but I mean, there's a lot. I was mentioning there's a lot of Mofi has done a lot of Elvis Costello.
Oh yeah, there's a load of them, right? Like a bunch, 4 or 5. Psychedelic Furs, yeah.
Yeah, I have the originals of Psychedelicus. It's not bad. The Elusive Nimbus Sgt. Pepper, yeah, PB Thal. I mean, if he wants to buck up, they're $3,000. I mean, I don't know where you're gonna find one for cheap. Good luck. It's expensive. But it's funny because Jack Hunt, who cut the Nimbus one, also cut the Mofi non-box set, which is interesting, right? So he cut that one. So I mean, did he use the same notes? I don't know. Who knows? It's probably not much different. I mean, the UHQR Sgt. Pepper that Mofi released was done by Stan Ricker. So there's 2 different mastering engineers for that. And then someone asked me this too. Did you know this, George? So Mofi released the box set of the Beatles stereo. They also had the individual records. The stampers are different. So 2 things had to have happened here. Either they had a copy of the tapes to cut, or they had to get the tapes shipped to them a second time.
Wait, you're saying that the individual Mofis for the Beatles and the box set are different stampers?
2 different stampers. Yeah.
Do you want to check this right now? I can prove it right now.
Go for it.
Stand by.
So I'll sing for a bit, but yeah, that's what I remember it to be anyways. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong there. Just looking back here. Anyone else want to see? I mean, I'm a big 80s. I love the 80s stuff. I know a lot of people don't, really aren't into the 80s, but I mean, there's a lot of bands out there that I feel need a really good reissue as well. What's Dean Baker saying here? Sorry, Dean. Music Director's been selling the Mofi version of Elvis Costello's this year's model for $200 for over a year now. No takers. So no one's. So okay. So what are we doing for the fans? Because I'm under the impression that let me set this up. So when I had Michael Fremmer on a while back, a year or 2 ago, he said they probably made a copy of the masters. And he has no problem with that because then they're able to, master it properly, go back, make corrections, etc., etc. So now today, George, tell us if your one on the right-hand side, which is the box set, and the one on your left, which is the individual Mofi, let's see if the matrix numbers are different.
And I will just say right off the bat, this one sounds way better than this one.
Because they're different. So let's do a little drum roll. Let's do a little drum roll here. Does anyone in the viewers want to know, or do you guys know what it is? Because there is definitely, I do feel they probably had a tape copy, and that's why they,
I have to assume that a lot of people are angry right now because 1, we're talking about the Beatles, and number 2, we're talking about Mofi, which is like a, what kind of a tincture is that for disappointment for some people. The inside here is it's got the little Stan Ricker thing, and it's
hang on. So what is it?
MFSL-023.
That's all it is.
On side 1 of Abbey Road, and then there's like a stamp that says 1121, and then like some little dots and little
stars,
scribbly
like
bits,
some stars. Yeah. Okay.
And then there's like a handwritten A12, and then there's also the SR over 2, which is Stan Ricker half speed.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So those are all the things that it says on here.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is mint condition. Look at wanted. Look at that. It's just, yeah, okay, whatever. All right. That was side one of Abbey Road. Now, as I look, the dead wax looks pretty similar.
Yeah, it should. It's the same tape. Because it's the same tape. They just made a copy.
MFSL 1-023, same thing.
Yeah, but keep going.
And right next to it, it still has the A12 SR over 2, and then right over to the side 1121 with some little squidgy things. So this, for all intents and purposes, looks exactly the same.
There you go. So
in this one.
Okay, interesting. So
and there's that other thing. If they had the copy and they could just do it, I don't see why they wouldn't have. Because if you remember, with the Beatles, individual with the Beatles became like the most expensive one of the standalones because the stamper broke when they were pressing it, and they couldn't do as many as the other ones. So why wouldn't they have just done another?
Yeah.
I don't know. There you go. This looks the same. Should I check the other side? Should I check side two?
Yeah, sure. But here's the thing: Sgt. Pepper, they would have had to have gotten the tape again to do the UHQR version because Stan Ricker had not cut that one before. Either they had a copy already, or they had to go back and get the Sgt. Pepper masters as well. I don't know.
Yeah, in this situation, it holds up as the same. But I can tell you though, this one sounds better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So they just used the same stampers when they did the individual ones as the box set.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I almost dropped it.
Oh my God! Don't make us nervous here. Okay. So there you go. So the Mofi were either cut by Stan or Jack. So Sgt. Pepper was the one that was cut by Jack, not Stan.
Oh no, I just mixed them up.
Uh-oh. He's got...
No, I'm just kidding. That would suck.
That would suck. There you go. So we had to put some Beatles talk in. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry, folks. Sorry, Beatles and Mofi, the dreaded combo. A twofer of pain. Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going. But hang on. What's Ron Burns saying? I have an Abbey with two different stampers. I mean, you talking mobile fidelity with two different stampers? Because I really think there's different numbers on some of these. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got like 7 copies of Abbey Road, and they all have different stampers. But
no. But I'm just obviously. But if you're mobile fidelity, I'm talking strictly Mofi. Does anyone have the box set and the individual records and have two different stampers on there? I'd be curious to know.
Me too. I would be curious. I to be honest with you, I was expecting them to be different because but then again, the standalone one that I bought, I found this like in a record store.
And they're so cheap to get too. Because you got to remember, if I have a Mofi here, do I have one? It says on it, if you open it up on that little cardboard thing, they don't press more than 200,000. So they could have pressed 200,000 of these Abbey Roads back in the 80s or early 70s.
Yeah, the other one that I actually really like as a Mofi is I like this one too.
Which one are we looking at, George? This is
a Plastic Ono Band. This is Lennon's first solo album.
Is that the song with Mother on it? Is that the Mother song?
Yep.
That song is so emotional. It just gets me every time I listen to it.
Yeah, I get this I think kind of like brand new when it first came out, and
nice.
it's always been my go-to. It's always, I'm the only owner of this one. I got it brand new.
You're the father.
That's right.
Well, let's leave it at that. I think we again, as far as I can tell you, we're not getting jobs at the UN. We didn't solve the world problems of today or anything like that, but I think we solved some problems. We at least know that the same stamper was used for Mobile Fidelity's stereo box set and the individual Beatles. I think that's a good thing we did today. We did something productive in our hour and 20 minutes here.
Yes, it's true. And I would be interested at some point to find out what Ron Burns meant by two different stampers, if he does actually have,
No. He
because I
said,
heard the same thing. I heard the same
yeah,
thing.
he said he had two. I have an aberrator with two
Not
different
MoFi.
stampers,
Okay.
but not MoFi. Then he says after
Okay.
that. So, but I have heard it too. Anyways, but let us know. But we'll see you on so Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What's happening on Friday here on the show, George? Do you remember what we
I
talked about?
think we're going to be speaking to Impex.
We are, so that'll be fun. Get your questions ready.
Right.
Okay. Well, we'll see you Friday. It was a good one.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks everyone for
folks.
joining. All right. Bye-bye. And thumbs
Bye.
up. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Bye-bye.